Joining me is Michael Shoebridge, a former senior defence official and now founder and director of Strategic Analysis Australia. Michael Shoebridge, great to see you again. Now, Donald Trump said, this was a great talk with Russia's president. Very productive. Here he is earlier today.
We had a great call. It lasted almost 2 hours. Talked about a lot of things and toward getting it to peace. And we talked about other things also.
How would you describe what happened?
Well, I think Trump was going to leave this meeting with almost nothing, but Putin knew he had to give him something, so he threw him the smallest bone he could find, which is the ceasefire you have when you don't have a ceasefire. This thing about restraint around attacking Ukraine's critical infrastructure and energy, but it still looks like Putin is still attacking Ukrainian civilians. So what he offered doesn't even seem to be happening. But I think the big problem is Trump is now bought into this, and he needs a result more than Putin does, and Putin therefore has all the leverage.
And that was exactly what I objected to by him weakening Ukraine and vilifying Ukraine and leaving it in a weaker position ahead of the talks. He's given away all the chocolates already. This is just terrible bargaining from a guy who's written the art of the deal. There's now going to be talks between the US and Russia on a future ceasefire. More talks because, as you know, they've already been having talks in Saudi Arabia to no avail, apparently. What are you expecting from all this?
Well, I'm expecting Putin will keep doing what he's been doing so far, which is every time that he has a discussion with Donald Trump or his underlings talk with Trump's underlings, Putin makes new, bigger demands. So first it was, well, the US needs to stop arming Ukraine and giving them intelligence support. Trump did that. Now Putin says, well, actually, Ukraine can get no foreign military or intelligence assistance as the price for me starting a ceasefire and talking. So what Putin wants is all his terms accepted before he even begins negotiating.
Yes, and there'll be terms that I said before would leave Ukraine an absolute sitting duck the next time Russian troops pour across its borders. Putin has sent them in twice already, 2014, and now in this latest invasion, 2022. What actually needs to happen, do you think?
Well, I think, first of all, the worst thing that can happen is quite likely, which is Trump thinks he needs to put even more pressure on Ukraine and maybe a little bit of pressure on Russia to get a deal. When I think what needs to happen is Trump needs to use that line out of his first term around Iran, maximum pressure. He needs to put maximum pressure on Putin and Russia and stop weakening Ukraine. Without that, Putin is not going to negotiate anything.
It's just so obvious. It's just driven me nuts that to see all this unfolding. Can I just switch to something else? I talked a bit about the threat that China's showing, obviously, off Taiwan this week. But about China, our Foreign Minister, Penny Wong, protested to China this week about a letter sent from Hong Kong to Chinese residents here offering a $200,000 Australian reward for information on a Hong Kong democracy activist that we've given refuge to, Kevin Yam, who now lives in Australia. China has now given her a blast. Have a listen.
China expresses strong dissatisfaction and resolute opposition to Australia's blatant interference in the rule of law in the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region.
What does this response tell you about the Chinese regime and how it regards Australia?
I think coming on the back of the 3 Chinese warships doing that live fire exercise and then circumnavigating our country to intimidate us, this is another demonstration of contempt from Beijing for our government. So all this stabilised relationship, ministerial contact, agree where we can, disagree where we must nonsense, we're being treated with utter contempt by Beijing. And right as they blatantly interfere in our own country and seek to put pressure on someone living here, they blame us for interfering in Hong Kong. The absurdity and the contempt is just palpable.
Absolutely. They see us as weak, and now with a weak major ally. And here we are with our pants down and no submarines, nuclear submarines on the horizon to save us. Michael Shoebridge, thank you so much for your time.